back here to the military base. Saw how fast I could escape, and now I'm on my way. This is game therapy with joebombsquad87's. And I've decided that I'm going to do my topic on anger. My topic on anger is amazing, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, and we are stuck now, and we have to run. Yeah, you got it. Alright. Wanted to start off on a high note. Still trying to get that 4 1/4 star. For anyone that doesn't know the meaning of the 4 1/4 star, that's the early '90s Star Search. It's a rating. You can get pretty much a certain amount of stars. And we're gonna steal this car. No. See, that makes us angry. Alright, and our topic is on anger today, so we're going to talk about anger. Things that we... Oh, you hit me. Injury lawsuit. Don't worry, I'll just take your car. You hit my shin. It's cool. Alright. Oh, god dang it, woman. Jeez. You are an irresponsible driver. You drove with this person that was on your hood. And you didn't leave the door there. Alright, this is what we're gonna do. We don't have 128, I think. We have a 3,000 last time we went to work on it. So we're gonna make our way to ammunition. And we're gonna talk about anger. And came up with a new game. It's called Chain Reaction. Chain Reaction. That's what it's called. We're gonna have to find out in a little while what I actually mean by chain reaction. All right, so we're gonna talk about anger. And anger itself is triggered by a fear, I guess. Fear for survival.
Citizens report a pedestrian struck by a vehicle on
I've seen people use the fight or flight sort of thing, but
great police.
I mean, it's what does it mean? It means that like, oh, you're either gonna fight the horde of undead against you, or you're gonna just like what's the word? Not fight the horde of undead against you. And I'm talking about a zombie game. Basically. So
reporting 505 on
let's talk about anger and all of its uses and all of its misuses. Alright, so uses for anger.
Suspect westbound near the Los Santos Gun Club.
Now the engine's breathing.
That was close.
We're gonna breathe that engine and show some people about anger. Alright, anger and its uses. The uses for anger a lot of times was used for, I guess, because, I mean, usually when you're angry you make a face. So, you either make a face or something like that, and that's just usually, I'm grinding right now. We're gonna fall again.
Officers report a reckless driver on Genesis Boulevard in Little Seoul.
Anger itself has uses when we were coming up with the evolutionary chain. It had, it could make us bigger or seem bigger in front of a predator. It could make us seem more powerful, I guess, because of the face we can make or anything like that because of a certain predator trying to kill people, like say, I don't know, saber-toothed tigers, woolly mammoths stampeding, you know, that kind of stuff. So when we get angry and we make ourselves big, or we flaunt ourselves, I'm just gonna stand here until there we go. Started on that. Put that down. Probably not a good car. Actually, I'm gonna get a big rig. Sure well. It'll be great. It's giving up clues and stuff about what we're gonna do. I'm gonna shut up now. We're gonna talk about anger. All right. That's basically what anger was usually used for back in the day, as far as our evolutionary brethren ancestors had. But nowadays we're told to like maintain ourselves and not try to build too much anger up inside of ourselves or something like that. Or we can literally, like, emotions can tear us to shreds sometimes, and anger is no different, I guess. Let's see, let's go back on the map. Alright, let's go to ammunition. Alright, going down the right road. So, anger can trigger other emotions as well. It can trigger sadness or empathy, or a conduit, I guess, as a leading emotion. Anger is definitely a leading emotion because there's usually subsidiary emotions underneath it that are actually pushing towards it. If it's not for a predator or something like that, because obviously anger can be triggered by fear, it can be triggered by sadness, it can be triggered by pretty much any other emotion that you can think of across the board. So when we think about anger and when we try to justify our anger in any way, shape, or form, we think that that anger is justified when something happens, or when we're vilified in some way, shape, or form.
Is there something in particular you're looking for?
When we're vilified, though, I'll only have shit. Alright, I'm just gonna get grenades then. Alright, cool, grenades. They're only 150, so I'm gonna get 3 of them. Alright. Only have 53. Let's see what we can get.
Oh, and
I keep one of those by the
Only
toilet.
have 2.
You never know.
So I'll have to get something that... Rocket launcher. Let's get ammo. Let's go at 20. Awesome. Grenade launcher. There we go. We're good. Alright. Doop 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 doop. Oh no, I don't need armor right now. Trying to prove a point, I guess. Alright, here we go. And now for chain reaction. This is actually a metaphor in itself, or it can be a metaphor in this game for anger. It is conducive to think that we are not angry people, or that we conceive anger from different emotions, but it is also conducive to realize that anger can come up at any point. And when we realize that anger can come up at any point, we also realize that anger itself is boundless. It's not, we feel anger about something inside of ourselves, and
Insurance details.
you can feel anger when, and this is just the way that my emotions work, I guess. My emotions work in a certain way. I'll feel some kind of way to even me out, and I'll feel like sadness or anger, and I'll feel it welling up inside of me or something like that, and I'll have to hold on to a thought to be able to balance my ecosystem, I guess. That's more emotional ecosystem, I guess. Balance my that's what I mean to say, at least. So when we think about emotions and how they can what's the word, quantify on top of another. They can count and keep counting, and then keep counting, and then keep going, and then keep going, and then keep going. And people don't understand that when emotions get to a certain way, pretty much our main kind of a alright, gonna take this car. You son of a bitch. That door is not right. Okay. Alright, so I'll say about that Land Rover. Ready to chain reaction. Okay, give me this car. Alright. That hurts. Alright. Alright, thank you, Land Rover, for stopping. Gonna use this.
It's just a possession. Let it go.
Alright.
You only have yourself to blame.
Alright.
Citizens
Now we
reporting
got a big
a
rig right there,
503
blocking the way.
Red Desert Avenue.
We are going to take out our grenade launcher, and we're going to show you the metaphor that I was trying to talk about. And a bunch of synapses fire inside of our brain.
Citizens report an explosion
When
on
just emotions
Del Perro Freeway.
trigger, what people don't understand is they just keep firing and keep firing and keep firing.
Citizens report
We,
a 996
by ourselves,
Mid-City Avenue.
don't understand that.
Officers report a 415
They're
on
exploding. That those
Mid-City
synapses
Avenue.
keep firing, even though we're not thinking about that one thought anymore. When the synapses fire, we can associate different parts
Mid-City Avenue.
of a song with anger, or different parts of something with anger, and it can create a reflex. So as it creates a reflex, those synapses keep firing, and you get wasted. That's not actually a good metaphor about being wasted, because being wasted can burn brain cells. So we're not gonna get wasted. We're actually drinking a Monster, and I had a beer at about 12, so I think I'll be fine. It was a Yingling. I'm a bit of a man, you know. Like to drink the pilsners, the ales. And when synapses fire, it can literally get you put into the hospital. When those thoughts keep going and you don't understand things, you can realize that that when you're trying to make something happen, or you're trying to do something, or trying to come up with at least maybe like maybe just a thought process that you're trying to make, you can realize that you start to realize that anger itself is a tool. Anger can push you through certain situations. It can get you through hurt or emotional draining stuff, or like I guess or lapsed anger, because lapsed anger is like an angry thought coming up every once in a while, and then realizing that angry thought itself is gaining momentum, like a snowball effect. But not really a snowball effect. It's more like that that whatever you pushes back, right?
You want to end up in the trunk of this thing?
And don't say that every, because Newton's law of motion, or law of physics have been disproven for centuries now. So or at least essentially. So,
Fine, piece of shit.
because not every emotion has an equal opposite, and not every action has an equal opposite reaction, because of the way that things are actually built and made. Because things are stronger, things are not so strong. Things can be bigger, things can be not so big. And now we're gonna take out our. Wait, before we do that, we gotta beat up this guy. All right, and then.
Units reporting a criminal resisting arrest on
And now we're gonna take out our grenade.
Del Perro Freeway.
Stupid copper.
Suspect last seen on
Alright, now
Del
we
Perro
have 5 leads
Freeway.
left. Let's drop the guy. Memories about ourselves can create. Oh, there's that.
Officers report.
Man! You didn't get to see the full effect. Disclaimer: I am not an actual psychoanalyst or therapist, but I was able to psychoanalyze myself and realize through certain areas of my own psyche that if you can't diagnose yourself, then how can other people? It's there, but I mean, it's better to have a doctor's opinion. It is really better because they're trained in it and they know things, so they understand a lot better most of the time. So it's better to have a doctor's opinion instead of a person that's playing video games trying to blow shit up with a grenade launcher. It's usually the best thing to know is that. But other than that, I don't feel like being a psychoanalyst. I feel like breaking into the military base and stealing a jet. So we're gonna think about anger. Anger, like, okay, I felt angry when I couldn't get in the military because of my disability. When I felt angry that I couldn't get into the military with my disability, I didn't take it out on anyone. I actually focused internally and realized that there were some thoughts that I needed to actually go through in order to actually realize what I needed to do with myself. And I know I cycle through the same words but I know it's technically boring or whatever, but we're gonna do some fun stuff and we're gonna see if we can go to the military base and not die every time we try to go do things, because I have some nice flights I want to do between some buildings. All right, so. So, when we think about anger and okay, what's a good one? Audible anger. Because that's what conduits can do. I guess conduits. A conduit is like it's like a song. It's like an object that can bring emotional pain or hurt, or even happiness, because it's a conduit. It doesn't affect your emotions while you're not seeing it. You know, it never affected your emotions while you weren't seeing it. But now that you saw it, or now that you associate it with a different memory of your past, which is technically nostalgia, but I mean, nostalgia in itself is, we are constantly experiencing the past, the present, and the future. So I mean, so it's not like we can give it a. All right, it's not like we can make for a good. This Kleenex is. Thank you, Leslie. So, but as we think about anger and all of its things, and I know I went under a sign there for a second and stopped doing things, but hold on, let's pause it, because I have to open this Kleenex box for my landlord. All right. Doop 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 doop. You had it upside down, Leslie. You had it upside down. Yeah, it was really easy.
Joe's here. He's fixing my tissue box.
Yeah, don't do that.
Alright, so I'm an idiot.
No, you're not. I'm just messing with you. All right.
I couldn't even finish it.
All right. So back to what we thought about anger. So, like when we can't open something or we can't get with something, that's more frustration, I guess. But it's anger pointed at something, so that's technically what frustration really is. It's anger pointed at a specific object, yeah, or a specific thing, or a specific substance, or a specific person. So it's more frustration than anything. So, and what we run through and what we go to as human beings and ourselves, we start to realize that anger is a survival technique. And we shouldn't lose anger or try to calm ourselves down. When we experience anger, we shouldn't try to understand what emotion that is, but what idea is behind it. What thought pattern we're thinking about behind that emotion. Because as we are mammals, we used to use and still use to this day certain aspects of what's the word? Certain aspects of let's see. We start to use aspects of thought patterns to be able to express ourselves emotionally, because sometimes we can seem emotionally inept to others, and it's a reaction, really. It's not more of a it's not really a thought pattern, but it's controlled by a certain thought pattern. Like, say for instance, you have memories that keep you going, or keep you frustrated, or keep you angry in a certain situation. You always go back to that certain pattern, and if that pattern itself was removed, or if that memory itself was erased, you wouldn't even understand how to become angry, or how that part angered you so much. Because once you, I guess, erase a memory, because they've done this before in science, and I know they have, because, I mean, obviously, a trained sheep probably wants to understand what the hell that it needs to do, and obviously we have to keep guiding it in certain ways. So technically there are no clones, I guess.
Suspect doing 80 miles per hour in
and also in a physical
San
sense, there are. But that kind of angers me too a little bit, as far as what they try to call stuff, I guess. They would call it copies, I guess, but it's more just a genome, what's the word? It's just a repetitive genome, so technically it's his child. I mean, it's kind of fucked up a little bit. So, when we start to realize that what we know in ourselves is wrong, or good, or bad, or anything like that, what we have to understand is when we realize that yes, there are certain things that anger us, we start to realize the pattern of what we did, of how we're
Citizens reporting a reckless driver.
So, I mean, if everyone says like, oh, it's very deep down inside, I'm Irish, or whatever, I mean, but if you ever looked at Irish people, like real Irish people, what? If you ever looked at Irish people, real Irish people, you'll notice that they don't burn down or break down their own their own emotions into like their core or something. They just drink a lot. That's it. I mean, they're happy. They usually drink when they're happy. And if you also realize that like that certain people may do that as a certain way of coping with anger or stress, you have to realize that you have to be happy in order to be able to emotionally let go of something. And when you emotionally let go of something, you'll understand that when you're about to accomplish a task or do something fun or make something out of nothing, you have to understand is that to be able to do that or be able to accomplish that without any mess ups or anything like that, you have to get rid of what you think you know about yourself, about anger, and saying that anger is a bad thing or anger is something, because all emotions serve a purpose. Every emotion we have serves a purpose as far as the evolutionary scale goes. Evolutionary process or evolutionary anything. And I'm gonna steal this car and he's gonna, oh my god, I am. Dang it.
You don't see this car here?
So when I'm like, it's not like I have like emotional Tourette's, I guess. It's more like I have like, whenever I'm about to say something or to do something, or whenever I'm about to do something, I say something to be able to express that emotion, so that my brain understands that it's not an anomaly, you know? So like, and when you break that down, I guess, you can understand that sometimes your brain doesn't have to understand that many things, but for your physical body to be able to understand certain reflexes that your body makes because of different things, you also have to know that stretching your hands or stretching everything if you're playing video games is a really big thing, because you can get cramps in your hands, and sometimes people get angry about that. So, make sure to drink lots of water. Oh, there we go. There's a motorcycle for us. It's more like a chopper. You gonna try to fight me? I don't think so. I really wish it was a dirt bike, but I'll do it. All right. Alright, so now that we understand that where anger actually comes from inside of our psyche, because it doesn't come from a specific area of our brain, but what we have to understand is, I was just drinking a little bit of Monster and I lost my way. So, alright, so when we realize that, don't lick my paper that I wrote things on, Bo. It's not cool. Alright.
Hey, you! Stop!
When we realize that that anger itself is a tool, just like every other emotion, we'll realize that it doesn't have that much stress or that much control over any of us, and shouldn't. It really shouldn't, because I mean, you shouldn't immediately feel bad for getting angry, but you should immediately feel something else afterwards and realize that emotion wasn't the only emotion welling up inside of you. So as we go towards anger, I'm going to probably go for an hour again, because this is a topic that definitely needs to delve into. So as we understand that anger is just another emotion, then we'll be able to control it a lot more. So really realizing that we can control our anger and control our emotions with either breathing exercises, certain understandings of things, books, pretty much any resources you can get your hands on, I guess. And no, I'm not throwing that for you, Bo. I'm not gonna throw that for you, Bo. No, this is a day of rest and a day of live streams. And I'm gonna take this in the throat. Bo wants his rope, but rope throw for him, and and we realized that oh shit, I was supposed to be running into the military base. And see how fast I can go. And run in front of the tank. I want to immediately run in front of the tank. It's called, let's play Tank Chicken. It's called Tank Chicken. Let's do it. Tank Chicken. So, now I realize the Tank Chicken is a really good thing. We're gonna jump this. I'm not gonna jump that, but all right. All right. Let's see if we can put Tank Chickens out of here, because those motherfuckers are precise. No, you bastard. Alright, I'm gonna have to get something other than a chopper to jump in here because it's slow. Bo, I'm not gonna let you out right now. You have to go to the bathroom. Alright. Now that we ran into the supercar, we're gonna realize that, yes. Awesome.
Oh, jackass! You're getting robbed!
Ow, Bo, don't scratch my foot. Alright. Alright. We gotta start from over here because we gotta get our bearings first and go inside. We're not gonna be able to just run around in the loop or something like that. We gotta call the tank out into the middle of our place and then see what we can do. So. Alright. Alright, so. Awesome, we got 4 stars. That thing's green. No, it's not green. Okay, cool. Alright, we're gonna see where the tank comes from. And then we're gonna go to it as soon as we can. Oh my gosh. Okay, it can't come out of there.
Suspect westbound in a black sports car.
Tank chicken. Why are you tank? Oh yes! Oh my god! Dang it. Alright. Alright. Yes. Seeing as how we got blootered. Completely blootered by the by playing Tank Chicken. What we're gonna realize is anger and fear would have kept us from doing that. Realizing that anger is not triggered by fear, that anger and fear are 2 different emotions. Because fear is hate is an outcome. Hate is not an emotion. Hate is, I don't think that hate is ever an emotion, because whenever you look into a certain aspect of someone's feelings or someone's anything, it's usually sadness that creates the fear and triggers hate, because hate is a reaction. Hate is merely a reaction. Because if every single emotion is merely an observation, then hate is definitely a reaction. Because it's usually like, oh, you hate on someone. Like you can hate on someone? No, you're not hating on someone. You're called you're ribbing them, or you're making fun of them because you don't like them. Alright? So if you hate someone, then you would not be making fun of them. You would be trying to murder them. Probably. So, there we go. Alright. We're gonna talk about some really, really fun stuff right now. So now, I don't think hate is an emotion. I really don't. I really don't think hate is an emotion. People can say they want to hate all they want to, but they're just using fear, anger, and probably a thought process to get through that, to get to that those two emotions, or even a song to amp them up to be able to make anger and fear into a ball of what they call hate. That's basically what those two emotions create, I guess. But hate is not an emotion, it's really a reaction from anger and fear. So, but as we talk about anger and realizing that anger can drive us and make us turn into either amazing people or really, really terrible people. Realize that there's no central ground when it comes to anger. Realize that there's no medium. There's no regular size anger. There's no. It's either I'm going to murder you, or I'm just not going to talk to you anymore. That's pretty much where those two things come from with anger, as far as people go. So, all right, now we're going to see if we can make some knife flights. So we're going to probably get hit by the first missile, and I'll probably get punched. Yeah, there we go. We're getting shot. This is extremely frustrating. Realize that it's not anger, though. It's not anger. It's not anger at all. All right. So So we're gonna realize that it's not anger, and anger is just fear wrapped in a bubble of stupid. Yep. Anger is just fear wrapped in a bubble of stupid. I really don't like those analogies about how they try to what's the word? I really don't like those analogies about things trying to say that it's just, oh, it's just that simple. No, it's not that simple.
This is just a robbery.
It's like, it's really, really hard to understand where people are coming from in a certain situation. And it's really hard to understand a person's either ignorance or I guess swayability when it comes to stuff. Either their gall, and their gall is like their tenacity, or a ability to remain rigid, emotionally rigid in certain situations. Emotionally fluid is different because you allow your emotions to go in any different direction, no matter if you're thinking about a certain thing or thinking about a certain way or something like that. I mean, it's kind of like if you were to okay, as opposed to, it's kind of like opposed to if you were to not, it's not about food. I'm not going to make food analogies. I almost did, but I didn't. So, what? I just had to look at it. That's all I had to do. Amazing. I make people remember things. Leslie was my landlord was holding up a rubber band, trying to figure out what it was called. She was experiencing what we call doing something at one time and trying to remember things in another time, another way. So it's a completely different topic for a completely different day. Bo, do you need to go outside? All right, Bo's going outside. There's nothing outside. Do you want to go outside? There's nothing outside right now.
and then Sarah came by. Her knees hurt.
All right. Quit it, Bo. Oh.
Her knees.
All right. So, as we realize that anger itself is not fueled by anything, it's just an emotion. We have to realize that we can control it. We can control it and make it work for us, because it is a part of us. It is a part of what makes us who we are. So when we realize that anger is a part of us and makes us who we, and it can make us who we are, we have to realize that too much of it can turn anything into a pancake. All right. Basically, too much anger can turn yourself or your emotions into a flat line, or what I like to call an emotional pancake. Basically, it's circular because you have other emotions but you refuse to use them. It's the same color because your anger decided to cook it for so goddamn long that it all turned brown, and not to say that it has anything to do with anyone's type of skin. It's just when things are cooked, they turn golden brown. And it goes good with something sweet because it's completely bland. You have to put stuff in it to actually make it taste good and make it taste sweet. Some people like their pancakes plain. I really don't know any of those people. If they eat the pancakes plain, then not count me out, but I mean like, I'd wonder why, and I'd ask them questions, you know. So, but and I'd be like, is your palate just that darn sweet? Did you drink tea earlier today, or did you like just eat a bunch of sugary snacks? Because if you did, then congratulations, you have a very, very fluid palate. It's called a fluid palate for a reason, because people sometimes have fluid palates. But it's like fluid emotions. So when you think about it, it's like you can remain angry or sad or happy after a thought has completely thought has completely left you, and you can just realize the idea of that thought was something that you can and I didn't say chicken with it because I didn't get a car that was fast enough. All right, we're gonna get a fast car next time. All right, seeing as how I still have 0 viewers, me, as in the only person that's on this, is going to keep going on this journey through anger. All right, I'm angry. I want that tractor. And he's gonna say something angry to get him out of that tractor. And that was just Alright. We're gonna use this to block traffic. And that guy had a gun. So. I could just put it behind my bed. That's all I have to do. I just put it behind my bed. It'd be so easy. We're talking about a couch, and how I'm angry that my younger brother doesn't want to sell me a couch. He didn't want to sell me that couch. I was like, whatever. All right, let me get this car, get another car, because we need to at least test the car first. And not, oh, I have an even better idea. Here we go. I'm not going to get it in that car like an idiot. Okay. We're going to go down the country road, and we're going to get this big rig, god damn it.
Oh, give me a break.
It's a big rig. It's a red light. It was meant to be. It was meant to be. There we go. Good Right. Okay. I'm making something called a blockade. Alright. We're gonna use that truck right there.
Citizens report a Grand Theft Auto on Paleto Boulevard in Paleto Port.
Alright.
You only have yourself to blame.
Traffic. And completely clog up these lanes. Alright. Do we have anything?
On Paleto Boulevard. Officers
There you
report
go, we got a fire going.
resisting arrest
It's a good fire.
Paleto
Another
Boulevard.
car. Son of a bitch. She just ran into the cop car. And drove off as the explosions were going. So, alright. Alright. Bo. Alright. Now that we smell. I smell like DEET right now. Because they sprayed for mosquitoes. I walked outside when it rained. And that's the end result of that. So, I smell like fun. I smell like fun and good times. Alright. So, we're going to keep talking about anger. And we've been talking about anger. We have to realize that anger itself can trigger, not trigger, but can be the conduit for other emotions. Because emotions can be conduits for each other. That's one example is something that doesn't affect you while it's away from you. But also too, a conduit can be an actual emotion itself. So like say for instance like a happiness. Something is your happiness is taken away from you because of an experience. Because you got robbed or you got beaten up or you got what's the word? You got hurt or something like that. You have to realize that with every single emotion we have, we have to understand that when those emotions arise, when those emotions actually happen, you have to be able to pick it apart and to not be overwhelmed by them. When you're trying to realize what your body's doing, or what your mind is doing, what anything is doing, as far as reflexes, because we can emulate people's emotions as well, as far as empathy goes, as far as sadness, because sharing in their experience can make them understand that they're not alone, or making them realize that, you know what, it's not that big of a deal, and making them also realize that if they take life too seriously, then it's not that they won't ever get out alive. They'll just run through life like almost like a zombie. You know, almost like an emotional palette. You know, it's like an emotional neutral. You know.
What the fuck is wrong with you, man?
I don't like construction. Alright. I'm gonna go bring that woman's car back to her.
Are you crazy?
Alright.
What the fuck are you doing?
Oh, you're gonna try shooting now? That's what you get for trying to steal this woman's car that I have killed so many times on accident. A few times on purpose because I hate doing this mission over and over and over again. Maybe you should give me some money. I want some money. I want money. I want money. She constantly gets it stolen from her. In the exact same spot. Jeez, does she think parking there? And that's also too what people can understand is, or try to understand, that's crazy, I guess. But it's just, I guess it's just the wrong emotions for something that I didn't get any money for that. I'm never doing it again. All right. All right. So, because I don't want to do any missions right now. So, I don't want to do any missions right now. So, I mean, because of me not doing any missions right now, I'm doing the same thing over and over again. So, I'm trying to get the same thing out and I'm playing a video game at the same time. I'm just doing this. And, okay, so anger itself. Where it comes from, it comes from welling up emotions inside of yourself and frustration with those emotions. Because it itself is an emotion. Because frustration can turn into anger. And with that, we have to realize that those things are those emotions are kind of outdated, I guess, as far as what we believe. I mean, because we can feel a fake emotion if you think about it. Sometimes we can realize that a fake emotion can actually happen inside of our bodies because of like literally a vitamin deficiency or something like that. We can feel like the end of the world is near, and realize that no, it's not going to happen forever because scientists are fucking retarded. They always try to say, oh, the end of the world's near, because they're fucking suicidal. That's why. They're fucking suicidal and they're idiots because they want it to end because they've been measuring things for fucking ever and they just want it to stop, even though they should just remember that they shouldn't try to just have like measurable emotions, because I mean, people don't understand things like I'm not what's the word? I'm not condoning any religion, really, when it comes down to it. And I'm not saying anything really really profound at all that people haven't already scientifically proven. But what people have to understand is emotions can be measured sometimes because of the synapse firing, and in the reality of us thinking that we can't just, oh, it's just magic. No, it's not magic. Magic is something we separate our body from. It was like an old term, so that's the reason why magic came from. And people were just like, oh, it's magic is everywhere then. And said, no, magic isn't everywhere. It's something we separate from ourselves, or we separate from, but it still has, I guess, living tissue. And magic is pretty much like childbirth, I guess. That's magic. That's like separating something from yourself and letting it still have a heartbeat, or still have a pulse, or still have both. I don't know. So, I've never had any children, so I know it's gonna be it'll probably be hard for me to have children anyways because I take too much medication. So at the moment, but when we realize that that where an anger actually comes from, when we can actually measure it, be able to understand that it's just a human emotion, and we can use it to our benefit, because where we realize it comes from, when we realize where it comes from, we have to understand that it's actually the thing we want. Like, it's like we want something, and when we don't get it, like, that's what anger is. It's like, it's basically that in a nutshell. It's like, it's that in a nutshell, but it's also so much more, I guess, because we can actually use anger to get what we want, and I mean, it's not like we can will it to be so. I mean, I'm not sure that if the fictional Star Wars universe is in the works, I guess, or if a real Star Wars universe is ever in the works.
Citizens report.
People have to understand that
no-fly zone. Divert or you will be shot down.
I'm on fire. That was really awesome. Flying through the air. Da, 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 da. Read a book. It's in a book. It's reading anger. Reading anger. How do you read anger? You look in a book and realize how other people have read it. It may be specific to you, but it's good to have an idea. It's good to have an idea about where anger actually comes from. It's great to understand where anger actually does come from. But it's also even better when you can actually use it to make yourself an even better person. Because when you realize that anger itself is just an emotion and it shouldn't be controlling you, it's just an array of emotions that you should be having on a regular basis. You should realize that anger itself can be so beneficial in your life and in everything, and not just survival, but it can actually push you to do so many great things. And when you do those great things, you'll realize that anger puts you there, and an array of different emotions put you there, and not just anger. So remember that when the next time you're trying to do something. You have to be able to understand where anger actually comes from, and be able to understand that it's just an array of emotions. It's just a part of an array of emotions. And you'll also realize that when anger itself comes about, you'll realize where those thoughts are coming from, where those patterns are actually, where that thought pattern is actually coming from, the reason why it's coming up and welling up so quickly, and you'll be able to control it even more so every single day. So thank you for listening along, if you ever do listen along. This is Game Therapy with Joe Bomb Squad. Thank you very much. And I'm at a hospital again. Shit. Have a good day.